is less than 3 weeks away, so it's time for my standings predictions going into 2021. These are something that I put a lot of time into. I think about it. I've thought about basically the entire offseason, how I think teams are going to do, what their record's going to be, how they will place in their division. So this is definitely something that I put a lot of effort into. But this is what I came up with, so let's get started with the AL East. Coming in last place will be the Baltimore Orioles. The Orioles at one point in 2020 were flirting with a playoff spot until September came and they kind of fell off the cliff. While you did see some pieces that might be part of a potential core, I don't think the Orioles are there yet. Playing in a tough AL East also won't help, so I'll put them at 64-98. While they are improved, I don't see them as a playoff team just yet. Coming in fourth place are going to be the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox had an abysmal 2020. Their pitching was awful and they were missing a few pieces hitting-wise. While they did have a solid offseason, adding a lot of versatility, the pitching is just not there. Like the Orioles, playing in a tough AL East will probably hurt them. While I do think they're improved, I don't think the Red Sox are a legit playoff contender, so I'll put them at 78-84. Coming in third place, maybe a bit of a surprise to some people, will be the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays surprised some people in 2020, making the playoffs for the first time since 2016. Adding to the fantastic young core of hitters, the Blue Jays signed Marcus Semien and George Springer, which will really shore up their hitting. However, they didn't do much to address their pitching. Steven Matz and Robbie Ray are not going to cut it. Kirby Yates is a huge if, and Nate Pearson would be great if he could stay healthy. The Blue Jays are on a lot of people's radars, including mine. However, the lack of pitching depth does scare me, aside from Hyun-Jin Ryu. I still do think they will fight for a playoff spot, finishing with an 87-75 record. Coming in second place in the AL East will be the Tampa Bay Rays. The Rays had a fantastic 2020, finishing with 40 games and making it to the 40 wins and making it to the World Series. Many people see that the Rays lost Blake Snell and Charlie Morton and say that's it, they won't be good. I 100% disagree. I fully believe in the Rays process. How they manage their rotation and bullpen is so unique, but it works. The Rays also have a lot of young arms, along with the number one overall prospect, shortstop Wander Franco, who is supposed to be coming up this year. Until I see otherwise, I can't overlook the Rays. I think they'll finish at 88-74. But coming in first place in the AL East will be the New York Yankees. The Yankees are one of the best teams in the AL, if not the best. Their hitting is scary good with DJ LeMahieu, Gleyber Torres, Luke Voigt, Gio Urshela, Clint Frazier, and of course, Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton. They've shown that their offense can still produce when those two get injured, which I think is actually inevitable. As for the pitching, there are questions. I firmly believe that after Garrett Cole, either Corey Kluber or Jameson Taillon will be good, and one of the young guys, maybe like David Garcia or Jordan Montgomery, will produce at a high level. Injuries will happen, but the Yankees are one of the best at overcoming those injuries as they've shown. I think they'll finish with a record of 96-66. Moving on to the AL Central, coming in last place will be the Detroit Tigers. The Tigers, similar to the Orioles, were flirting with a playoff spot until September, where they kind of came back to earth. The Tigers have been rebuilding for a long time, and that process is still going on. However, they added a bunch of veterans during the offseason to supplement the young players. The Tigers play in a generally weak AL Central and a generally weak AL. While their future is bright, this is not the year the Tigers become a playoff contender. They'll finish at 70-92. The fourth place team in the AL Central will be the Kansas City Royals. The Royals are also in a similar spot as the Tigers, maybe a little bit ahead of them. The Royals are certainly improved. Signing Carlos Santana and Mike Minor and trading for Andrew Benintendi shows they have a desire to win in 2021. Of course, rebuilding will create a very young team, and that shows in the pitching. Brady Singer is a nice piece, but the pitching overall is just not there yet. I actually think the Royals might flirt with 500 in 2021, but will ultimately finish below that mark with a 74-88 record. Coming in third place in the AL Central will be the Cleveland Indians. The Indians made the playoffs in 4 of the past 5 years, but it seems like that magic might be running out. Trading Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco might be the start of a downtrend in Cleveland, but I do think they will be in contention at least for this year. They have great starting pitching, headlined with Cy Young Award winner Shane Bieber. Hitting is the problem, though. Jose Ramirez and Eddie Rosario are the only proven hitters the Indians have. Maybe one of their young guys will produce, but still, the Indians' hitting is not very good. Similar to last year, I think they will be an above-average team due to weaker competition. I'll put them at 84-78. Coming in second place will be the Minnesota Twins. The Twins have won the division in each of the past 2 seasons, and I would expect them to still compete for that spot this year. They have a very power-based lineup and improved defense by adding Andrelton Simmons. Their starting rotation is average, and the bullpen is actually above average. Like I said, the Twins will be in the race for first place, but the team ahead of them, in my opinion, is just ready to win now. I'll put the Twins at a respectable 88-74, but coming in first place will be the Chicago White Sox. The White Sox made the playoffs in 2020 for the first time since 2008. They have an incredibly young, exciting, up-and-coming team. They even have some prospects like Andrew Vaughn that might make an impact in 2021. The White Sox made 2 very solid additions in the offseason to supplement their pitching, adding Lance Lynn and Liam Hendricks. The White Sox are there. After a long rebuild, the White Sox are hungry and ready to win now in 2021. I think they'll comfortably win the division at 93-69. Moving on to the AL West, in my opinion, the hardest division to pick. Coming in last place will be the Texas Rangers, which should not be a surprise to anybody. The Rangers don't have much going for them right now. They have little to no starting pitching, no bullpen, and it's pretty much Joey Gallo on offense, not a good recipe for success. At this point, they are the clear last place team, finishing at 61-101. Coming in fourth place in the AL West will be the Los Angeles Angels. The Angels had one need. It wasn't addressed. They never ever have pitching, and that's still the case this year. They add Jose Quintana and Alex Cobb, not great. Shohei Ohtani has severe injury issues, and I don't think that he will stay healthy. The bullpen is not good at all. Jose Iglesias was the only main addition. Their hitting is great with Mike Trout, Anthony Rendon, and others. But I don't see the Angels as being a team in a good spot to make the playoffs. Unfortunate, because we all want to see Mike Trout in the playoffs. I think they'll finish at a disappointing record of 77-85. Coming in third place in the AL West, maybe a bit of a surprise to some people, will be the Houston Astros. The Astros are a hard team to predict. They made the playoffs barely with a 29-31 record last year, but made to within 1 game of the World Series. But the rotation already has injuries. However, they still have Greinke, McCullers, and Jake Odorizzi, who they just signed. But after that, a bunch of young and unproven starters. Additionally, their bullpen is not very good. On the hitting side, they still have Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, Carlos Correa, Michael Brantley, along with Kyle Tucker and Yordan Alvarez. I'm not particularly fond of their pitching depth, and I think losing Springer might give them a tough time. I think the Astros are in for a slightly disappointing year, finishing slightly under 500 at 80-82. Coming in second place in the AL West will be the Oakland Athletics. The A's won their division last year, but lost a lot of pieces this offseason, including Marcus Semien, Liam Hendricks, Tommy La Stella, and Robbie Grossman. Their pitching, which didn't really lose much, is kind of hard to predict. There seems to be one good pitcher every year that no one expects. On the other hand, they have a great bullpen. Their hitting consists of a similar core with Matt Olson, Matt Chapman, Ramon Laureano, and others, but again, they did lose some players. I don't think the A's are a bad team, but I don't think they're on that level of some other teams that are better than them. But I do think they'll finish slightly over 500 at 82-80. But coming in first place in the AL West, by far, my boldest prediction will be the Seattle Mariners. Hear me out. Last year, they came within 2 games of making the playoffs. This year, they have a lot of young guys. Evan White, Dylan Moore, Kyle Lewis, along with some solid Major League players like Kyle Seager and Mitch Haniger. They also have some prospects that will have a contribution to this team this year, including Jared Kelnick and Taylor Trammell. Their pitching is definitely the weaker side, but they do have a lot of upside. This team reminds me a lot of the 2018 Atlanta Braves, a team not expected to compete that won the division. If there's a division that the Mariners can win and compete in, it's the AL West, since that division is not very good. Maybe I'm overreacting to what I think will be a solid Mariners season, but I think they really do have a chance. I think they'll finish the division at 85-77. Moving on to the NL East. Coming in last place, maybe a bit of a surprise to some people, will be the Philadelphia Phillies. Before I explain, let me say this. The Phillies are an average to even above average team. They could make the playoffs in other divisions, such as the AL West. However, the team has a lot of holes. They are an older team. DJ Gregorius and Gene Segura are the middle infielders. Not great. Center field is an issue. They have 2 solid starters, Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler, but after that, it's just not a lot of depth. While they did improve a historically bad bullpen, by no means is it even close to fixed. I'm not trying to hate on the Phillies at all, but I just think they have a lot of holes, and I think they'll finish at 77 and 85. Coming in fourth place will be the Miami Marlins. The Marlins surprised everybody in 2020, making the expanded playoffs. They aren't a playoff team this year, but I do think they have improved. They have a lot of young starters, and I believe that one or two of them will have breakout seasons. Their bullpen is a question, but their lineup contains a bunch of veterans and a bunch of young guys. I think the Marlins might surprise some people, but I do still think they are a sub-500 team. I'll put them at 78 and 84. Coming in third place in the NL East will be the Washington Nationals. The 2019 champions certainly had a bad 2020. The Nationals are a bit of a wild card team to predict right now. They still have strong starters with Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, Patrick Corbin, and adding John Lester, but although they are not the same as they once were. Adding Brad Hand to their bullpen should help, but that's still not a strength. Their hitting is headlined by Juan Soto and Trey Turner, along with Victor Robles. Adding Josh Bell and Kyle Schwarber also in theory should help. I think the Nationals are an above-average team, but I don't think they're on the level of some of the teams ahead of them, so I'll put them at 85 and 77. Coming in second place in the NL East will be the New York Mets. The Mets are creating a lot of buzz right now after a terrific offseason, acquiring Francisco Lindor as the headline of the offseason and all-around superstar. They addressed their rotation by adding Carrasco and Taijuan Walker to a rotation starting with the best pitcher in baseball, Jacob deGrom, and Marcus Stroman. The bullpen is not a strength, but should be better than previous years by adding Trevor May, Aaron Loop, and others. The hitting also improved with Lindor and also James McCann. Defense is certainly a weakness, but something that does not get talked about is the amount of depth they added. The Mets have no doubt underperformed in recent years, but I think 2021 will be the year they finally live up to expectations, finishing with a 91 and 71 record. But coming in first place in the NL East will be the Atlanta Braves. The Braves, in my opinion, are the clear favorites in the NL East right now. I don't understand why some projections have them at around 500. Their hitting is filthy, with MVP Freddie Freeman, Ronald Acuna Jr., future MVP potentially, Marcell Ozuna, Ozzie Albies, Dansby Swanson, and more. Their pitching has a lot of young depth, and still has Max Fried, Charlie Morton, and Mike Soroka at some point this season. And actually, their bullpen is very underrated. Until I see otherwise, the Braves have the edge in this division, and I think they'll finish at 94 and 78. Moving on to the NL Central, coming in last place, which should be to no one's surprises, the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think the Pirates are the worst team in baseball by far. Their rotation and bullpen are terrible. Their lineup is better than their pitching, but not by much. The Pirates will be losing a lot of games next year, finishing with a record of, get this, 47 and 115. Coming in fourth place will be the Chicago Cubs. Sometimes you forget the Cubs won the division last year, but I don't think that would have happened over 162 games. Starting with the hitting, they still have a solid lineup with Anthony Rizzo, Javier Baez, Chris Bryant, Wilson Contreras, Ian Happ, and Jock Peterson. However, after that, there isn't much depth. Their starting pitching past Kyle Hendricks and Zach Davies is terrible, especially after trading away Yu Darvish. Their bullpen is one of the worst in the league. The Cubs' run of success might be coming to a halt, and I have a hunch they might be sellers at the trade deadline this year. I think they're finished with a record of 74 and 88. Coming in third place will be the Cincinnati Reds. Going into 2020, the Reds were on a lot of people's radars, including mine, and I will admit I made a mistake. Their hitting just did not show up last year. While I don't think their hitting is that bad, it's not top tier either, especially considering that they don't have a big league caliber shortstop right now. On the pitching side, they took a huge hit losing Trevor Bauer, and now the rotation really isn't much past Sonny Gray and Luis Castillo. And their bullpen isn't particularly good either. The Reds might flirt with the top of the division since the Central is not very strong, but I don't think they have a team that can sustain success long term. I'll put them at 79 and 83. Coming in second place will be the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers are constructed opposite they have been for years, with good pitching. Brandon Woodruff and Corbin Burns at the top of the rotation is nothing to sneeze at. While depth in the rotation isn't necessarily there, it's made up for a bullpen with Josh Hader and Devin Williams, two top 5 relievers. The lineup is not one of the best. Christian Yelich is primed for a bounce-back year, but still, the offense does not have much special things there. The defense was much improved by adding 2 Gold Gloves, Coleman Wong at second and JBJ in center. What lacks in their hitting is made up for by defense. The Brewers will fight for the NL Central and put up a fair fight in my opinion, but in the end, I think the team just needs a little something extra, and the team ahead of them, in my opinion, is just better. I'll put them at 86 and 76. But coming in first place in the NL Central will be the St. Louis Cardinals. I think the Cardinals will have a good year. Some people point to their starting pitching, which has injury issues right now, as a reason why they won't win the division. I agree in a sense. The rotation is not a strength right now, but they have one of, if not the best bullpen in baseball, and no one realizes it. Lineup-wise, I like it. Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, Paul DeYoung, Tommy Edman, and Harrison Bader, to name a few. The Cardinals are not one of the trendiest teams right now, but year after year, they make it work. And I think that'll be the case in 2021. I think the Cardinals will win the division at 90 and 72. Moving on to the final division of today's video, the NL West. Coming in last place will be the Colorado Rockies. The Rockies are bad, really bad. Their pitching, as always, is a problem. The rotation outside of German Marquez is little to nothing, and the bullpen is just awful. Their hitting, outside of Trevor Story and Charlie Blackmon, is also very bad. The Rockies are in for many years of poor performance, and 2021 will be the start of that. And another note, I can see Trevor Story getting traded at the trade deadline. I think the Rockies will finish at 62 and 100. Coming in fourth place will be the Arizona Diamondbacks. The D-backs have some talent, but they are not a team that will have sustainable success. The rotation is not bad, but the bullpen is really bad. I like some of the pieces they have in the lineup, but again, not enough for sustained success. At some point, I think the D-backs will be good, since they do have some nice prospects, but 2021 is not the year. They'll finish at 76 and 86. Coming in third place will be the San Francisco Giants. The Giants had an under-the-radar offseason, adding Tom Listello, Kevin Gausman, and others. Offensively, they aren't bad, but they are an older lineup overall. Where they lack in pitching is not terrible, but by no means is it great. The Giants might outperform some expectations, but in no way will compete with the two teams ahead of them. I'll put them right at 500, 81 and 81. Now, for the biggest two-way rivalry in baseball in 2021, coming in second place will be the San Diego Padres. The Padres were probably the winners of the offseason. They bolstered their starting rotation by adding Blake Snell, Yu Darvish, and Joe Musgrove to a rotation already consisting of Dinelson Lamet and Chris Paddock. They also added Mark Melancon to an already strong bullpen, as well as Jurickson Profar and Ha-Seong Kim to an already outstanding lineup with Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, Eric Hosmer, and so many others. The Padres are a fantastic, young, and exciting team and will have a great 2021, finishing at 162. However, I can't put them ahead of the next team just yet, because coming in first place will be the defending World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers team is absolutely incredible. Their lineup consists of two MVPs, Mookie Betts and Cody Bellinger, along with Will Smith, Max Muncy, Justin Turner, Corey Seager, AJ Pollock, and a whole bunch of young and talented players. Their pitching consists of Clayton Kershaw, Walker Buehler, David Price, and they added the Cy Young Award winner Trevor Bauer. Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin, and Julio Urias will battle for the fifth spot in the rotation, which is crazy and unheard of. Those pitchers would be in the middle of the rotation for most other teams. If the Dodgers have any weakness, it's their bullpen, which is still well above average. Dodgers are crazy good, one of the best teams we've seen in a very long time, and I think they're dominant in 2021, finishing with the best record in baseball, 103 and 59. So that is all for Pat Stats today. We'll look back at the end of the season to see how accurate these predictions really were. If you want to watch some more Pat Stats, this is my most recent upload, and this is the video that YouTube recommends you watch. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.